Hey guys, welcome to another community video update here at Ferrum Network. I'm Tom, and please welcome Nick Audio, Chief Growth Officer. Hey Nick, how's it going?
Doing good, Tom. Doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. There's a lot of things going on at Ferrum as usual. So let's just dive right in. Nick, it's pretty much end of April. The past few community update videos that we've had, they focused mainly on the white paper. It was the white paper sessions series. Guys, you can check it out below in the description. So let's just focus on things aside of the white paper and what happened within the white paper kind of zone in the past few months. So overall, how would you describe Ferrum Network's overall progress and achievements in the first quarter of 2023?
Yeah. In regards to mainnet, I feel like we're moving faster than we anticipated that we would be. Uh, One of the metrics that I use to measure that is like how often there's an update on mainnet that is like marketable, like content worth marketing, right? And it seems like we're a little bit behind almost in updates that we're able to provide to the community on mainnet related items, which I guess is a good problem to have. And so I would say that's probably been the best takeaway from Q2 so far, is just the speed at which the mainnet team is putting out code. For example, something we'll probably get into later. We just enabled the ability for people to run testnet nodes, which is super exciting. Um, we've actually had an interview with a pretty reputable entity within the .sama ecosystem that we should be hearing back on here pretty soon. That should help our cause in just leveraging connections and potentially even um, enabling us to be able to do a secondary raise and get a little bit more of a capital injection. So there's some exciting things coming in by way of scaling our mainnet operations as well. So those have been things that have been kind of happening behind the scenes. There's a lot of updates that need to get pushed out in regards to mainnet, which we'll be working on in the coming week or two. Then also, from a partnership side and from the MultiSwap side, and making MultiSwap the most interoperable multi-chain DEX aggregator on the market, there's been some headway there as well, which I'm sure we can kind of get into the specifics a little bit later. MultiSwap is about to be entering its beta stage, so that's super exciting as well. So yeah, there's been kind of multiple fronts, I think, from integrations, mainnet, and multi-swap side of things. There's been a pretty significant amount of headway, not all of which has been communicated to the community. So just stay tuned because there's going to be some good things coming up here soon.
Nice, brilliant. Okay, so we're going to be discussing a few of those things that you've mentioned a little bit deeper during this community update video. But first, let's just touch on the multi-swap because that's been going on for a couple of months now. What the response been so far regarding multi-swap alpha testing? When can we expect the next kind of phase, the next iteration of you said beta testing? Is it going to be closed? Is it going to be open? What's the idea here? And what are your thoughts about multi-swap so far?
Yeah, well, the feedback just on the general like user experience and interface has been very well received, um, and large in part due to our graphic designer genius, David Scandroli. He really knocked it out of the park with the user interface here, and then of course the experience from um, you know uh, Taha Abbasi, our chief technology officer, architecting multi-swap, and then all of the devs who put so much time and effort into just making sure that that architecture was realized. This is I think going to be our most impressive product to date. Um, so alpha testing was basically just to get an idea of the user experience, but you just swap asset A for asset A, right? So we just wanted to make it simple like that in the beginning, just to get some feedback on, the general layout and the experience of the product. Now that we're moving into beta, we've enabled Ionic and Foundry asset swaps, which means that we can now swap basically any asset for any asset as long as liquidity exists on the integrated networks, on a DEX that we're synced up with. So that's super exciting. Like, we've already done internal testing. I was swapping, BNB, on Binance Smart Chain for FRM on Polygon, and like all sorts of cool stuff. We even have Kudos integrated now, which is a Cosmos based app chain. So we're able to do non-EVM swaps from the Kepler wallet on Cosmos to EVM chains, which is super exciting, and just really validating that we're onto something cool, being able to do non-EVM to EVM and vice versa swaps in under a minute, validating transactions within two different native wallets. It's really cool. So yeah, really looking forward to pushing out this next phase of testing, and then hopefully soon thereafter we should be able to push this to a public beta, if not just straight to mainnet. So yeah, good stuff there.
Nice, exciting stuff. I've tested MultiSwap myself as well, and it's brilliant. It's so smooth, it's so clean, and it was a great experience. I've shared my experiences as well in the official Telegram group. So guys, if you want to find out a little bit more alpha about MultiSwap and MultiSwap's beta very, very soon, make sure to join us on Telegram. Okay, so moving on from the MultiSwap, recently we have announced that people are able to run Ferrum's testnet nodes. What can you tell us about that, about this ability for users to run testnet nodes, Ferrum as well? What are the benefits? What does it mean for us? Why should people do that?
Yeah, so the testnet nodes is something that we didn't even see coming internally. This was really cool to hear that this was available. It was like a response to that message. I was like, yeah, we should definitely be marketing this. But so that's kind of what I meant earlier. And one of the things that prompted me to say what I said earlier is just like, I think we're moving faster than we even anticipated we'd be moving at this point. So yeah, we will be doing some sort of like webinar around the testnet nodes and how to spin one up, like kind of showing in real time us going through the documentation, like line item by line item, and setting it up like in real time, going through the documentation. So that should be super helpful for anyone that's having difficulties. Right now, it's fairly technically, and you have to be a fairly technically inclined person to be able to set up a testnet node, because we don't have any sort of like user experience interface dashboard type of portal or whatever you want to call it to do so in a much more seamless way for just the average technical person to come in and set one up simply. It's not simple at this point. So and we'll be kind of guiding people through the process a little bit more via webinar. Yeah, it's super exciting that that's even a possibility now. There's just so much that's going to come of that. I think there's so much that implies. It just really feels like we're making so much headway on mainnet now, and can start positioning ourselves as a layer one truly now. So yeah, if you are interested at all in setting up testnet node, go try to do it just through the documentation itself. If you're running into issues, we'll have a webinar out here shortly.
Nice. And we're going to be keeping you updated on how it goes on our Discord and on our Telegram and on our Twitter as well. Make sure to follow us and join our community. Now, Nick, you are the main partnerships guy at Ferrum. Network. So, what can you tell us in terms of the future collaborations, future partnerships, that what we can expect? What can the community expect? Just FYI, we have very recently released an announcement regarding that Ferrum has joined Neon's early builders program. What does it mean for Ferrum as well?
Yeah. So that's one thing I was going to mention too. Just like we just announced, we've joined Neon's early builders program. Neon is the EVM layer for Solana dApps. So they're an EVM L1, EVM compatible L1 focused on the Solana ecosystem, which no one has really done yet. So I anticipate them to generate a lot of traction and ecosystem growth. So this is really exciting for us because we're coming on at a really early stage of the network. The early builders program has dedicated, I think, 1% of the entire supply to the first, I think, 40 or so projects who are building on the network. So this will kind of serve as like a grants program for us as well, where we'll be splitting 1% of the total supply of the neon tokens with other early builders in the ecosystem, and hopefully, reducing a lot of the layers of friction that would inevitably exist between users and their ecosystem by removing layers of the barriers to entry, right, for people moving liquidity and porting liquidity over to the network. So this is exciting, I think, for us, just to be a part of such an early and promising ecosystem, and for them to have the ability for users to seamlessly move assets to the network and generate volume on some of these early dexes that are also part of the early builders program. So it's cool because we'll be able to partner with some of the other folks in the program to integrate their APIs so that we can tap into their dex liquidity. So that's really cool. We'll be announcing one here shortly, I think as early as next week, of another network that we're going to be working with. It's got a lot of hype around it right now, and for good reason, because their tech is very sound. And then there's a couple more that were EVM compatible networks that everything's pretty much all but finalized. We've already started the integration work on it. We're just tightening up some loose ends from a business side of things, but we'll be receiving a couple more grants from a couple other projects. So stay tuned for those. Those will be announced here shortly. So yeah, I guess, in terms of partnerships, everything is really centrally focused right now around MultiSwap. There has been some developments, which is super exciting, about Quantum Portal, and being able to onboard some early testers, builders on Quantum Portal, some relationships that we have in the space that are very curious about building on it. So there will be, I think we'll have a good amount of early stage projects, at least building on a testnet form of Quantum Portal here soon, which that's going to be where a lot of my energy starts to be focused on after MultiSwap is, as interoperable as we can make it. Is onboarding new projects to build on Quantum Portal, and then seeking out more grants and whatnot for Portal. So there will be kind of a twofold approach there, where we'll be bringing on integrating more networks with Quantum Portal, similar to the way we're doing with MultiSwap. It's a little bit more of a heavy lift because it's multi-chain messaging rather than just swapping assets. And then also onboarding projects to leverage Quantum Portal to launch multi-chain dApps. So, and then our decentralized incubator will also serve as a good deal flow for that. So we advise, and also through just general outreach to other early stage projects.
Okay, brilliant, Nick. Thank you. So we've discussed the Neon's partnership, future partnerships as well. We've discussed the testnet nodes with some information on why people should do that. More info in the description, guys. And we have also discussed the MultiSwap, next phase of the MultiSwap testing. So what I would like to ask you now, the final thoughts, and are there any additional major milestones, developments that we can expect in the future month, or in the next month, and your final thoughts as well.
Yeah, so something exciting that we're working on right now is setting up the next version of governance. So you can kind of think of Ferrum Governance 1 as the governance committee. Governance 2 is going to be more along the lines of an actual DAO setup so that anybody who's staked CFRM is going to be entitled to vote on referenda. However, people making proposals, I believe we're going to be limiting the ability to make proposals to people in the GC. We still want governance is going to be evolving. There's going to be a lot more things that as we move more towards this infrastructure mainnet type of project, there's going to need to be checks and balances in place in terms of how the treasury is managed. So how funds are released for various reasons, right? Yeah, we'll have this V1 of Gov2 on Snapshot to begin with, and we should start seeing some voter turnout, hopefully, for some of the proposals that we'll be making as a team, and hopefully, some of our governance committee members will start making some of these proposals as well. So that's super exciting. Like we mentioned earlier, MultiSwap next iteration of the alpha beta rollout phase is happening. So that's something we can look forward to this should be happening within the next few days, but the feedback and implementing that feedback is I guess a milestone in and of itself. More integrations, grants, partnerships, things like that are already lined up as we talked about earlier. So those will be some things that start to get rolled out between now and the end of the quarter. Looking forward to getting the feedback on running testnet nodes and hopefully making that a simpler process for people. And then getting some announcements out. Hopefully this quarter would be awesome if we could announce some of the early projects building on Quantum Portal, at least in the testnet environment. What else? That's like, it's funny because we've always been super multifaceted at Ferrum, and it sometimes feels weird just to be talking about mainnet and MultiSwap, and eventually MultiSwap will be running on its own, and it's just going to be all mainnet updates. So kind of getting more focused these days, which is it's nice actually. I really like it. So yeah, just heads down building mainnet right now, and MultiSwap is almost across the finish line. So yeah.
Nice. Well, you like it, we like it too as well. So that's brilliant. Nick, thank you so much for joining me. I don't have any more questions for you at this time, but I'm pretty sure we're going to meet up next month for another community update video. Guys, stay tuned. Make sure to follow us to join our community on Telegram, Discord, and on Twitter. Yeah, Nick, thank you so much. Enjoy being in the jungle, I guess.
But yeah, thanks so much for having me on. And yeah, unfortunately, Ian couldn't be here today. His child is feeling a little under the weather, so he's on dad duty. But hopefully I got everything that we wanted to say out there. And next month we'll have the squad. So thanks a bunch again, Tom, and thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you.
Talk
Thanks
soon.
a lot.